region, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Watwin. Today's episode of Agric is going to be focused on the assessment of government intervention in agriculture as regards economic advantage, what we're able to get, and its contribution to the GDP. We'll take a quick break. While we return, we'll introduce our guest to you. Stay tuned.
I must say here that food security is the accessibility and availability and affordability of food, nutritious food for that matter. Now, down the line on our first Federal Executive Council, we were given the 8-point agenda of Mr. President. The 8-point agenda, number 1 is food security, number 2 is poverty reduction and economic growth, number 3 is job creation, and number 4 is access to capital, number 5 is inclusivity of women and youth. Of course, the rest is fight against corruption and insecurity. Now, when you look at all these items, agriculture plays a very, very vital role in most of the 8-point agenda. Of course, today, agriculture is the largest employer of labor. Thereby, the shortest route for job creation is agriculture, and also the food security aspect, like I mentioned earlier. Now, what was the way forward? What were actions that were taken since from that time? We have looked at the cultivation window of the dry season. Starting from November, December, we had the wheat season in the first phase of the dry season, which was under the NAGS, the National Agricultural Growth Scheme, Agro Pocket Scheme, which was assisted by the African Development Bank and also intervention by Mr. President. We rolled out a program for 120,000 hectares of wheat, of which Jigawa had the largest share of 40,000 hectares, and we had in 15 wheat-growing states. That was a program that we came and met, that was rolled out, that had a program where agro inputs were subsidized by 50%. We observed a lot of challenges on the first phase, which is the wheat, where we had the subsidy was 180,500 naira, and the farmer was expected to bring 180,500 naira for his own share. That was a tall order for a lot of farmers, and we saw that the farmers, a lot of them could not come up with that amount of money, and that also gave way for agro dealers or other sharks to intervene, and did a lot of round tripping of inputs, and also purchase of tokens, incentivizing the farmers to relinquish their tokens for other economic gains. In addition, the other issues that we have also observed was the list, the data of farmers list that we have we use in the wheat. A lot of the data was not verified. There were non-farmers there. There were what we quote-unquote political farmers were on that list. So these are the challenges that we face in the wheat. But coming to the rice, second phase, we had the rice, the maize, and also cassava. Rice, today under the NAGS Agro Pocket, we have 150,000 hectares. But what we now did was, instead of attaching 1 hectare per farmer, we now said we could use half hectare per farmer. So with 150,000 hectares, we are now targeting 300,000 farmers. With the rice, the inputs are less than that of wheat, and now we're using half hectare, so it's half the inputs. That is to say, in rice you use 6 bags of fertilizer, so with half a hectare is 3 bags. So what, in a sense, the farmer gets is 3 bags. So with the NAGs, 50% subsidy is a bag and a half. The farmer pays for bag and a half. We have also gone ahead, because we have intervention funds from Mr. President, to further subsidize that 1.5. So we are expecting the farmer to pay half a bag of fertilizer, and he gets 3 bags. That is to say, NAGs is paying 1.5 bags, and also the farmer pays half bag, and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, through the intervention, is paying 1 bag. And all these items that I'm talking about also includes the agrochemicals, and seeds is free. All seeds, be it wheat, maize, or rice, or cassava, are all free. So we believe with this program, we expect to get much benefit from the farmers this time around. In addition, we also use the intervention funds to increase the hectarage. 150,000, like I said, will maybe yield about 600,000 tons of rice. So we felt that's a bit small, but that is not to say that there are other farmers that are not doing cultivation for rice. The whole spectrum that we expect to get from the dry season is anywhere between 2.5 to 3 million tons of rice. Now, with the intervention that we're trying to do, we're trying to see at least we achieve nothing less than 1 million tons. 1 million tons will be provided by 500,000 farmers. So we want to now cultivate, instead of 150, in addition to that of the NAGs, we do additional 100,000 and making it 500,000 farmers, making 1.1 million, at least 1 million tons of rice. That is also for the maize. The maize under the NAGs has 30,000 hectares, which is 60,000 farmers. Maize for dry season doesn't do too well as rice, but for the dry season, we want to increase the maize to 50,000 instead of 30,000, so 100,000 farmers, and for cassava from 20,000 to 30,000 hectares.
Welcome back. It's still Agric Economy on ARCN Television, Mabushi, Abuja, Nigeria, and I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. Our guest to discuss these with us this week is no other person than Mr. Gabriel Dakro, an Agric economist. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's the first quarter just ending, and the program this week is going to be on assessment. So far, the federal government had come out with some, interventions when it comes to dry season farming, sharing of, Now, in all of this, has there been improvement? Because we saw the federal government talked about sharing of seedlings to state. It kicked off in Niger State. We also saw the meeting with National State government in collaboration in ensuring that mechanized farming is being, upped, and then investors in the state can begin production, or especially the sugar plantation and some other plants they have in Nasarawa State. We also saw that the minister talked about the tractorization, mechanization of farming using tractor, where he had a meeting with the Jandol group. In all of this, how can you assess government intervention so far?
Yes, the government, before the first quarter of the year, have made plans to be rolled into action. And it is based on those plans that some states have started having a buy-in on what the government actually intends to do, and to see how they can also partner with the federal government in ensuring that the policy is properly implemented. And that's why we see states like Niger State Zamfara State and some few other states towing the line of agricultural revolution presently. This has become very, very important because of the high cost of food materials that was witnessed towards the last quarter of last year and even in this first quarter. So it behoves on the government to quickly fast-track its programs as regards implementing agricultural programs that can soften the high cost of food products and also the availability of these products. So looking at the plan of the government in the first quarter, what we have been able to see is that government has been able to continue its partnership with the states. The government has started making, putting into action the policy statements of buying tractors for mechanized farming. The government has started sharing improved seedlings and to states for onward distribution to farmers. So what I can say generally in government preparation for agricultural revolution is that the first quarter so far has been used to lay the groundwork of what is going to happen in the subsequent quarters, and making us to look forward to see how other states will have the buy-in of what the federal government is doing, and also implement similar programs to be able to boost agriculture in their various states. So presently the government's attention is to ensure that the agricultural policy approach is fully implemented, and that is what the Ministry of Agric is driving, and that is what is being implemented across the states to ensure that we even get to the stage of getting the land allocation and other programs of the government as regards the agricultural revolution as planned by this Bola Tinubu administration. So the first quarter is laying the groundwork of what is to come in the subsequent quarters.
In all of these interventions we see, we still have farmers and groups still calling out for security to be sustained in the area, so that these will be without security, of course, we know farmers cannot really go back to farm activities. Now, looking at the embracing of mechanized system of farming, using improved seedling and the rest of it, what do you think government can do in the interim in addressing this issue of security, not making farmers to go back to farm?
Yes, I'm sure the government is collaborating with all the security agencies, and you'll see most times the National Security Advisor is always collaborating with the military, the police and the rest. And the other issue is that the forest guard that the government wants to implement, which I think it has started putting flesh to the framework, is also going to go a long way to ensure that security is maintained in the farm. Because despite all the provisions for improved seedling, tractors and the rest, if there is no improved security, farmers will not go back to the farm, and these measures will end up being jettisoned at the end of the day. And that is why government knows the implication of not allowing farmers to go to the farm. That's why the issue of forest guard is being brought forth, and the government is collaborating with states to ensure that farms are secured, and also trying as much as possible to secure a working relationship with even the herders that are causing issues as regards destruction of farm product plants and the rest. So the government has looked at the situation, and the long-run solution to me is to ensure that we have these forest guards in all the farms, in all the forests, because when we talk about insecurity in the farms, it comes right from the forest to those farming areas. So if the forest all over Nigeria is secure, then it will have a serious advantage for farmers to safely be doing their practices without fear of incursion of miscreants and terrorists.
Okay, there's been the federal government said in the course of the quarter said it was going to check the production of maize, rice, and the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then we know that these are the major staple food. Despite interventions, we know that when the federal government came on board, rice was the first thing. It's part of these, you know, the last administration opened some part of the borders, thinking that to bring ease to, you know, food production and, you know, for consumers in Nigeria. So what do you think that federal government can do? We've entered the second quarter in ensuring that, especially for food like cassava, rice, cassava has so many things. You know, these these food items I know that are the major issues Nigerians are facing.
Definitely, the government, the way I see it, has already planned out measures to ensure that these major staple foods are being cultivated in abundance to be able to meet the needs of the government and the scarcity thereof. And that is why there is a constant effort to ensure that there is enough production of rice, cassava, maize, and the grains, because those are the staples that Nigeria use a lot in the country. And that is why government is also trying as much as possible to encourage states that are good in these areas to ensure massive production of these products, and also commercial farmers to ensure that they go into the production of these staples. But be that as it may, we need government to be deliberate about ensuring that in inculcating the young farmers to this new Agric policy, that they give them specific areas of focus to ensure that, with these farmers that we want to put in Samfara, in Kebbi and the rest, we want them to focus on rice production. Farmers we want to put in Kano, Kaduna and the rest, this is the grain we want you to focus. Farmers we want to put in Oshun, Oyo, Ekiti and the rest, these are the type of products we want you to focus on. So that all of them will have hubs, so that we will know where what and what is coming from. So that specific attention will be given to those areas based on their needs requirement. And that is the way I want government to look at this situation, to ensure that apart from the traditional farmers of these products, we should have concentrated hubs of these grains, rice, millet, cassava, and the rest, so that they can have focus on what is being expected of them, and we can have those hubs to be able to bring it out to the market.
There are areas aside, you know, farming of this. I was going to touch on the fact that having a farming hub. I wanted to ask you, does that mean that small-scale farmers or peasant farmers will no longer be able? Because I know this is what will be at the mind of those watching us at home. Like, so we that live in so axis, we are not going to do a regular okra farming, or we're not going to do this and that.
That is not the situation. You see, household farming or small-scale farming cannot be hampered or hindered by having farming hubs, because the farming hubs deals with large-scale production of such agricultural produce, while those small-scale farmers will still contribute to the agricultural economy of Nigeria by producing whatever products that can come out from them and unhindered. But what we are talking about is the scaling of those agricultural products to a large scale, to the extent that the needs of those products will be, it's just like localization of industries. When you want to localize industry in a particular area, that's why we have free trade zones. When you localize industry in a particular area, you look at the kind of products that are going to be coming out of those industries in those areas. They are always located where there is raw materials. They are located where there will be provision of roads and other amenities to be able to make them to be production to be optimal. So that is the same thing as we are talking of the hub. If we have a rice production hub, for example, attention will be made on to have an effective irrigation system in those areas or in those states. Attention will be made to ensure that there is adequate road network, there is an extension in that area that can be able to monitor the products that have been planted in our hub, and also other necessary agricultural advices and skills that will be needed will be provided for those in those areas because of the peculiarity of the products that is being produced there. That is why hubs are necessary when we want to scale up the production of these major grains that are staples in Nigeria. So it does not affect those that are doing small scale farming or those that are doing household farming. They continue with what they are doing, and I don't believe there is any issue at all.
Okay, we hope that there won't be issue at all when we have this agricultural help. This is supposed to help Nigerians focus on, if we're doing, for example, rice production in the axis of Kebbi, Bauchi, and the rest of it. We know that rice production is coming from this axis. Vegetables are coming from the Kano and the rest of it. We're expecting Gari and others from the southwestern part of the country. This way, production is solid. This does not mean that local or peasant farmers cannot do their individual farming. We'll go on a quick break. While we return, the program continues. Stay tuned. It's still the program Agric Economy. I will be taking the assessment of federal government intervention in agriculture and its economic impact for the first quarter of the year 2024. So much has been talked about. My guest, Mr. Agric, talked about creating agricultural hubs to be one of the ways in easing and ensuring that some staple food items are being sustained and grown for even international and large-scale purposes. So you said so much, sir. What do we, in this second quarter, what is your expectation?
Yes, I expect that the government would go full blast in ensuring that production is aided in all the areas. We also discovered that the central bank, for example, shared fertilizers to farmers in the first quarter, which was part of the existing fertilizer program on ground before the new CBN governor came on board. So we want to see a situation whereby every axis of production is in full swing, and the government meet up with the expectation of the farmers as regards tractors, production of farm implements in the key areas as expected. And also the issue of security is also tackled in this second quarter. We want to see a situation whereby those forest guards are on ground and they are fully mobilized to be able to do their duties as expected in collaboration with the security agencies like the Nigerian police and the army. Because without security in the farmland, it's going to hamper whatever gains that we might have made through the supply of improved seedlings, fertilizers, mechanized agricultural tools. It will have hampered it because we will not have the expected production surge that we expect. So this second quarter, I want to see the government trying to push its implementation of its programs to the fullest, in the sense that most of those areas that the government have started working on is built up, and other states are also collaborating with them to ensure that they put in the plans of the government in their various states to support what the government is doing in the federal level. So I'm very optimistic that looking at food scarcity as one of the major challenges that this present administration is facing, they will want to try as much as possible to ensure that that problem is ameliorated in this second quarter. And also because the government is portraying itself as a government that is listening to the needs of the people, that understands that the people are suffering, would want to make sure that food security is a priority in this government. And the way it is now, the government needs to continue to implement its plans in an aggressive manner, so that we know that we are already in the middle of the planting season, and things are being done to ensure that every of those products that we see as important staples, are in place for for government to be able to use to alleviate the problems of food security in the country. So the government needs to ensure that it collaborates with the farmers in the states, and federal government programs through the Ministry of Agriculture is properly implemented in this second quarter to ensure that every axis that the government has earmarked for its plans for food security and agric revolution is up and running. It's very, very important.
With the intervention by the federal government, we see some states already enjoying some of these gestures from the federal government, other states keying to other policies and the rest of it. What's your word to farmers?
Yes, the farmers, this is the time of the farmers. I say that this is their time because the government is putting all its attention on farming now. So we must try as much as possible to work hard. The farmers must try as much as possible to work hard to ensure that they take advantage of this period, that the government is ready to support with all necessary tools and implements and all necessary policy formulations to help farmers to grow as much as possible. We all know that the people that are in farming are mostly private sector people, and they cannot do it on their own without government support. So the government support is expected, and now the farmers should look forward to collaboration with the Ministry of Agric and their states to ensure that they have a good outing.
So far, looking at the country's GDP, how do you think the whole of these interventions have been able to contribute significantly?
Yes, right from the second quarter of last year, we have started seeing improvement in the contribution of agriculture to the GDP. And towards the end of last year, it jumped about 2.1% addition to the GDP. So I believe that if government continue to push the way it's going significantly, by the time we get to the second quarter, the end of the second quarter, we will see agriculture contributing significantly to the GDP.
Okay, thank you for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, on that note, we'll wrap it up on the program for this week. Don't forget to log on to our YouTube page, like and comment on each program. Of course, Agric Economy is part of it. Drop your comments and contributions. I am Adija Oluwatoyin saying bye from here.